Welcome back, my friends, and welcome to another episode of TFT Hyperroll from Mission for Tuition. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and do all the things to help the YouTube algorithm so the video gets more views, because this channel helps pay for our son's high school tuition. He has to go to a ridiculously expensive special school, but enough about that. Let's get into this video, and I'd love to say I'm showing you a comp that you can use, but this isn't that kind of video. This is what you do when you're not sure what you're doing and you just kind of throw it together and it works. Can it be replicated? Possibly, but I just want to show you something that worked. So I gotta say, at this moment in the game, I'm thinking I'm going Dragonmancers with Volley. I've got key items. I just picked up a Nevia. I have 2 Dragonmancers. I just would like to see some augment that is friendly to that build. These 3 are certainly not it. Maybe target dummies, but no. So let's refresh and see if we can get something that's a little... Yeah, these aren't going to do it either. Nothing here will work with Dragonmancers. Even Blue Battery will not work that well with Dragonmancers. So at this moment, I'm stuck with, I'm not quite sure exactly what to do, and I'm probably better off just building my best board and then seeing what I can make out of this. So we have the ability to get a trainer up on the board, and when I'm going to do something with trainer, I always like to make it early because Namzi scales infinitely. Selling the Anivia was my resignation that the Volley Bear build was not going to happen this time. Now I just want to put a tank in front of Namzi and see how it goes. And of course we run smack dab into a stronger trainer comp with an Ornn item on a Lee Sin up front, so we don't have much chance of winning this round. The items are not really helpful, but I decide to just grab the Giant's Belt, but once it is removed, I see something I can use. I go ahead and grab the 2-star Braum and put him in front of Namzi so I have a better tank. Having Braum out front will allow the backline to do a lot more work. You can see once his shield goes up, he's keeping everything else safe, and the key is going to be Namzi breathing fire on people, because Namzi will likely be leading the damage charge later in the game. We run into an Assassin Olaf comp, which is a pretty popular comp in the game right now, although I haven't been able to get a really good match with it yet. But as you can see, it's able to get Olaf into the back line, so it bypasses my really tanky front line and can wipe out the main damage of my team, leaving Braum on his own, blocking lots of damage, but that in and of itself is not likely to win a match. And I suspect regular watchers to the channel can guess exactly what item I'm going to take here. I have a Giant's Belt on the bench. It's time for a Chain Vest, and then we're just going to go ahead and put that on Braum, who seems to be holding up the longest, so we can at least now set the team on fire 2 different ways. And this will give you an idea of how I hope the rest of this match goes. With my front line just holding really strong, Namzi's able to breathe fire on people, let my back line get through, and do tons of damage. I'm hoping this next set of augments is going to give me a little more clarity. Maybe a little. I can take Heroic Presence and that will help, although I'm not going full Guardian at this point in this build. I've actually picked up a Diana with thoughts of trying out Scalescorn. So let's take a moment and look at that. Scalescorn says that as long as you don't give in to the temptation of taking a dragon, you do increased magic damage and take reduced damage from high health champions. This can be very critical later in the game. For something I've now just thrown together and decided to come up with at the last moment, it's doing really well. Having Braum out front with that Sunfire cape on is holding everything back and allowing my backline to do a lot of damage, although Lilia is leading the damage charts. Now this other trainer team had a jump on me as they had 2-star trainers much earlier, so their Namzi is a little more powerful, but I'm really happy to see the bruiser emblem on Jinx. That means they're going to be running a bruiser comp, which is going to give their champions high health later, which my Scalescorn should counter. Now this is a really interesting team that I think could be a big problem later. Right now they have a Dragonmancer and Giant Slayer emblem on Ezreal, who is their Dragon Blessed. But that Nunu with the Radiant Spirit Visage gaining back health, that could become a big problem if it gets really strong. It's time for our final augment, and I'm torn between the Thrill of the Hunt or the random chance that is Tome of Traits, but I decide to go with the safer Thrill of the Hunt, since my goal is that my champions are going to be tanky and stay up longer. My plan now for my last 2 slots, presuming I make it that long, is to bring in the 4th Scalescorn in Olaf, and then to bring in an assassin to complement Diana. And I will be turning Diana into a tank so that she can get into the backline, slow them down, and do damage. This is the 3rd trainer team, the one we faced early on with the Radiant Augment, and their Namzi is much higher than ours. But the Thrill of the Hunt is saving the day. You can watch our champions be almost out of health, but then get that critical kill and come back to life and stay in the fight long enough to finish it off. It's now Treasure Dragon time, and I am hoping to find a tank item that can go on Diana that will help her when she jumps into the backline. So I'm searching through and finally find the Ionic Spark, which will be the perfect item for her to use. I managed to 2-star the Diana and Olaf and wanted to try out the 4 Scalescorn for the next fight. Unfortunately, that means giving up my Guardian buff, and that is one of my augments. But I knew I had at least 2 tries to get this right, because next round I can bring Thresh back in, and fighting this set off with the Volley Bear items, I just couldn't hold on. Being 1 Braum away from gold, I decide to go with the Locket, since that will scale with the star level of the champion. So presuming I'm able to get him up to gold, I'll be doing a 400 shield across the entire front row, and that will be really important when combined with Scalescorn and Guardian. And there is my gold Braum. And this comp is now pretty much how I envisioned it once I decided to go in this direction. The question is, can it hold up? The Scalescorn is going to allow us to take less damage from high health targets and also deal out a little bit of additional damage. This fight doesn't look very pretty, but ultimately they're able to hang on because Illaoi is very high health, they take less damage and win. For me, this is the fight that tells everything, because I need to get through this fight in order to get Talon in so I can then have an assassin. You'll see at the end that the damage ends up split really evenly across Diana, Braum, and Namzi, and this ultimately brings us into the top 4. The Titan's Resolve will be an excellent item for Olaf, since he's already got Rage Blade and healing with the Hand of Justice. This will give him more power. The Giant Slayer will go onto Talon so that he can get kills more easily. Notice I have picked up a Pike, just in case I'm able to get a 2-star Pike, I can replace that Talon. And something I like about this build is how it isn't really relying on one single carry. Everyone is playing their part. Diana gets into the backline and just gums up the works. Olaf starts working through the front line with Thrill of the Hunt, and his own healing with the Hand of Justice is helping him stay alive, and Namzi is just burning everyone in his path, with Braum absorbing all the damage. And you can see from the damage charts, this is a team effort. And where this Dragonmancer team may have been able to squash us before, with absolutely all of our pieces in place, we can gum up the works enough that we're able to get through their backline while Set just beats and beats on Namzi to pretty little effect, and everyone else can come in and get him. This time, Namzi dominates the damage. My patience paid off, and I do end up finding a 2-star Pike. So we say goodbye to Talon, and although that gets rid of the small guild bonus he was giving, it wasn't enough to justify keeping him in instead of the 2-star Pike, who with Thrill of the Hunt can be incredibly effective. Here we are facing a ghost team, and I don't know if this is intentional, but notice how their Namzi is really tiny. That's actually a fully formed Namzi, but for some reason, when it's a ghost team, it doesn't show up. So any victory I get here, I take with a slight grain of salt because it might not be real, but Pike suddenly dominates the damage chart. It's down to a 1v1 against that Dragonmancer team, and I check in and they are all stacked to the right, so I want to move everything over just to make sure I jump into their backline. The key is getting Diana back there to slow everything up so that Pike can start assassinating things. Braum will hold everything in place, and hopefully it all works out. Since I didn't see them pop in on my screen, I was fairly confident they stayed in the same places, and sure enough, they did. And here's where Pike can go to work with Thrill of the Hunt. You see, each time he gets a kill, he gets 700 health back, but also it allows him to do his ult again, and again, and again. But the real star of this final fight is once again my little Namzi, who wins the damage charts, but overall, it's a complete team effort. Hope you enjoyed this video. I don't know if this is a build that can be replicated easily, but either way, I hope you have an absolutely awesome day.